Hey, this is the CT Sports Talent Show. My name is Chris Saunders, and I'm pleased to have on Hashim Jones with me from Capital Prep / Achievement. They are a co-op. They also are a part of the Pequot as well, and they play against various schools in the Pequot. Jones plays multiple positions, kind of like that super athlete. You think of baseball, the super utility guy. Jones is kind of one of those players and a talented player here in Connecticut. Hashim, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Before we talk about your time with Capital Prep and Achievement, I kind of want to go back a little bit because you and I were just going back and forth with some of the college games and just talking some shop a little bit. To me, it sounds like that football has been a part of your life for a long time. When did football kind of start to really kind of become a part of you?
Well, initially I was like, all right, football is something I'm gonna do on the side, but I was mainly like basketball. Everybody in my family played basketball. My dad, my uncles, everybody was like basketball, basketball, basketball.
Hmm.
And then it's a funny story, but one time, like all my friends, I was second grade, all my friends played football for the school. So they're like, hey, come on, I think you'd be really good. So I snuck to a practice one time. And my dad was like at the school, like yelling at everybody, couldn't find me. I was in the back of the school practicing. And the coaches were watching me for a little bit, like, dang, he's fast, like he's good. And they talked to my dad, and I just kept on pressing, like, hey, I want to play football, I want to play football, I want to play football. It's fun. He's like, you know what, man, let's go play football. And I've been playing ever since I was 6.
Now, has football been your only sport?
No, I played lacrosse and I ran track.
Really?
Yeah.
So being able to play those two other sports, a lot of times I don't hear football players playing lacrosse. Track, yes.
Yeah.
Lacrosse, not as much. Now, what attracted you to the game of lacrosse? Because that's a game that's really growing in Connecticut.
Yeah. I think I played midfield, so either any sport I play, I know I was going to be like a utility guy, I could do it all. Um, I think you said what's the question again?
I asked as far as kind of how the game of lacrosse, because it's grown so much, what
Yeah,
kind of attracted you to the game of lacrosse?
physicality for sure. Like I seen it was like a gritty sport. A lot of guys hitting, banging. I just wanted to be a part of that. I had a gym teacher, Mr. Mascolo. Um, he was like on me all middle school. He's like, come out, come out, come out, come out, come out. In my first few days, I just picked up a stick and I was like a natural with it. And he was like, they had me on defense for a little bit. And it was like, I was like, I really want to score. It's like, okay, you can play midfield. So I started playing midfield and I played midfield and I stopped for 2 years. I stopped 7th grade, 8th grade. I played 9th grade, but I didn't play last year because I ran track.
Okay, so as you entered Capital Prep, man, I mean, obviously you didn't play basketball, you didn't follow in the footsteps of your uncle and your father and such.
Yeah.
Were they kind of like it sounds like they didn't push you to be like, no, you need to play. They gave you the freedom to choose. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they're very supportive in my decision to play in football. Um, my dad said he supports me whatever I do. I'm thankful for that. Most parents, a lot of parents aren't really like that, but I appreciate him letting me have the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. If I say I wanted to do something, he was going to back me 100%. I remember one time I said I wanted to do karate. I did karate for 2 years. I got up to like a yellow belt, I believe, and he just supported me the whole way through that. So I appreciate him for doing that.
Okay, first I didn't know you did karate. That's pretty unique. A lot of people wouldn't admit that, right? For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Is there any way to correlate football or just any of the sports that you played with karate? Like, does that kind of work at all or no?
Yeah. Just not getting winded so fast. Having a long motor because in karate, you never know what could happen. You could have a really good opponent and you guys be going back and forth for 20, 30 minutes, or it could be real fast, or you may have to use somebody leverage on them, how you have to use it while you're blocking in football. So yeah, it definitely translates.
So when you stepped on foot at Capital Prep, when like talk to me kind of about because you're entering your junior year, so you've been with the program now for a couple of years. Talk to
Yeah.
me about your freshman year, about the first practice, just the everything that goes with that, because I'm sure that, even if you won't admit it, there were probably a little bit of nerves.
Actually, there weren't any nerves. Coming from like my middle school team, we were a pretty good team. We were like a local powerhouse. Really went up and down the coastline, just spanked a couple teams, a couple top ranked teams. Not going to really say any team names, Springfield, but so I knew I played with a lot of good kids. I played with two Power Five recruits, Karan Craig and Casimir Lewis. So I knew going into high school it wasn't going to be that big of a difference because I knew I had been playing with the big dogs. It wasn't really a scare for me. I mean, 13 we were playing 14U, so we were playing older teams. So it wasn't really scary. I would say just the playbook wise, just understanding the concepts and why they do certain things. Because in middle school, it's like, okay, you got your plays, but it's you let your athletes do whatever. In high school, it's like, okay, got your plays, but I want you to block him this way instead of just block him straight because you have a guy from behind you. And it's like, it's just, it's the little things. Yeah.
So did you play varsity your freshman year?
Yeah. Started varsity at quarterback. Never
Not
played quarterback
surprised by
before.
not surprised by that by any means, especially the talent that you played with. So that kind of goes into my next question. And I'm not trying to poo-poo the high school talent that you played against or even the guys you were competing with. But
Yeah.
when you entered campus and you were there your freshman year with what sounds like you played with and against a lot of talented players all up and down the East Coast and whatnot,
Yeah.
did almost to you seem like the game was easy just because you're not facing like the consistent of the high talent because that's just not how it is in the state of Connecticut. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I wouldn't say it was easy because I don't want to discredit my opponent, but I would say the game was definitely a little bit slower for me. Everybody told me high school is going to be the next step. It's going to be so much faster, and it was faster, but it was easier for me to see it, conceptualize it, and get it. And once I got it, I was just rolling.
Was there a game your freshman year that maybe I don't want to say because I'm sure obviously the stats probably prove themselves what you were doing and such. But was
Yeah.
there a game that kind of was that wake up moment for you? Maybe you were feeling a little bit too good, thinking, "Oh, this is really easy," but that game was like, "Oh, I threw for 3 picks," or I got sacked a bunch of times because I held on to the ball too long. Was there a game that kind of woke you up and really kind of rejiggered the brain a little bit in that positive way?
I would say pitch my freshman year. I think it was our last game of the year. And we went in there, we had like half of our team was injured, first of all. So the game plan was hold the ball, we're going to score, we're going to hold it, run out the clock, milk the clock away, force them to have to throw the ball. We had really good DBs that year. Like force them to throw the ball against us, hold it, score. So I'm going into the game thinking, all right, I'm just going to option it the whole game, force them to run with me. I didn't think any of them could run with me. And they were disciplined, very disciplined team. And I thought I was going to be able to run all over him, but I wasn't able to. Obviously, I broke a few big plays, but I was able to do what I usually do.
Okay.
If that was like
Interesting.
the game, and it was the last game of the season, so that kind of like I was like, all right, I really got to pick this up now going into the off season.
So what was the plan for you last year? Did you stay at quarterback or did you play somewhere else?
So I think the plan was originally for me to have one. It was me and another kid, Devon Reed. We were supposed to go back and forth, and we were supposed to just switch out. And he got hurt, so I was taking the majority of the snaps at quarterback. Yeah.
Okay. So with you kind of being back at that position again, did you feel like there was some familiarity again to, okay, I'm back where because like you mentioned, the last game of the season left a bad taste. I'm sure you wanted to get back out there. You
Yeah.
had that, you had that ability to do that your sophomore year. Did you feel like, okay, here's my chance. I don't want to basically mess this up again. I want to make sure I continue the good
Do it
gracious.
right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. It definitely felt more comfortable for me around the second time because sat down with the offensive coordinator. We just went over like what we wanted to do. We started off really simple. We started off in a regular I formation and just we triple option our way through the first game, I believe it was, and then he allowed us to open up the spread books. We were like in a we call it 12 gauge. Like we have it up back receiver, and it'll be like spread backside with like a running back to the gauge side, and at some point it kind of diluted to like a regular spread offense, and I think that's when we really our offense really exploded. We had our athletes one on one, most athletes who couldn't cover us, so I think that's why I got real comfortable, started to trust my team more.
you and I were talking about, some college teams, right? And you think about like USC spread, you think about Texas Tech back in the day, spread offense, right? There's a lot
Yep.
of the game is moving towards spread, air raid, and so on. So for you guys to go from what you said, the I formation, triple option, and then now the spread and such, being able to, if you have the athletes, let them go, let them meet, and let them, really test the corners and safeties to see if they can keep up. Do you
Yeah.
feel like the spread kind of fit your quarterback ability at the present time?
Yeah, it did because I was a big scrambler. So like I wouldn't say I'm like Johnny Manziel, but I try to like, try to play like him, extend the play, make big plays. It forced them to have to cover us both ways because freshman year, sophomore year, going to sophomore year, we were one dimensional. They knew we were just going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. We might get a pop pass here, a dig here, a corner there, but we were going to run the ball. That's what we wanted to do. Now, we were still an option, but we are just in spread. So they had to cover the pass, the run, they had to cover me. So I think it kind of did fit what I wanted to do.
So
I
how
wanted
did
to
the year itself, the sophomore year, how did it go for the team for Capital Prep and Achievement?
It started out really good, and then I believe toward the season, like the middle of the season, like middle to end of the season, we started taking a few injuries, and that really took a toll on our team. We had a lot of older guys who were injured, a lot of veterans, so it kind of hurt us in the long run. But I think this year is going to be a lot different.
So, and you speak about this year and with some of the teams that you'll be playing against. I mean, Cromwell Portland just a couple of years removed from winning a title. Obviously, North Brantford's got a new coach with Coach Salvati, and then Haddon Killingworth is never an easy team by any means, especially what they do with their different formations and such. And playing in the Pequot it's a tough conference, right? I mean, it's not very
Yeah,
talked about as much as the FCAC and so on and so forth, but very good. So with now coming into this year, what can people kind of look towards in terms of yourself? Because you were telling me now you're switching positions. You'll be at the running back position offensively.
yeah.
So kind of talk to me a little bit about that if you can.
I think what they should expect is a lot of physicality. I'm going to force you to have to make two and three guys have to play me at one time. You know, I'm not an easy target to take down. I want to force you to have to play physical, force you to have to put five in a box in spread. Um, I think of myself as like a one man wrecking ball, so make teams really have to adjust to me.
So with you being at the running back position, do you feel like you're more comfortable going north to south or south to north as far as okay, handoff and go? Or would you
Yeah,
be more because if you'll be in the spread, I would think potentially you may be, the quarterback may be in the shotgun, depending. So
yeah,
you may be getting the ball going almost like in a jet sweep kind of motion.
yeah,
Which
like
one
a zone.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So which one do you feel like is kind of more comfortable for you in the running back position when you get the ball?
We also have um uh a formation single back run behind the quarterback, like a pistol off, in a way. So I think I'm more comfortable going north south.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think about running backs, and some guys like to just get the ball and go. Some like to get that running start, kind of like where
yeah,
you're revving up the engine. And I'm thinking about, I mean, obviously with your size and such, I'm not trying to put pressure and say Derrick Henry, but when I think about that, right, because of the size and
yeah,
dudes gonna have to go after your legs because if they're jumping on your chest or whatever, you're just gonna take them with you. So
yeah.
the way that you run the ball, up or more so down? Are you kind of going down with the ball or are you holding it up?
I think my first 2 years, that's where I really messed up. I allowed a lot of guys like one person to tackle me. I was running too high, but this year I got a running back coach and he was telling me like it's time to it's time to put that 400 squat behind you and just start running through kids. A lot of kids aren't really the same size as you, can't really tackle you one on one. So I think right now through the preseason, I've been running more lower, more agile, and more powerful. So I would say I'm running low now.
Did he kind of tell you, okay, here's the football, you're going to hold on to it the whole practice? Did you have to hold on to it the whole practice?
Yeah, he said treat like a baby, so you don't drop kids.
Now, you know what's funny? I was just thinking about that. Now, I don't know if this happened, but you know the movie with Denzel Washington where he's talking about PD with the because he fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think about that. Was there any that kind of moment for you with him and your coach with that?
Yeah. It was in practice. I had fumbled. He was like, you know what, Jones, just hold on to the ball. Don't drop it. Don't touch, like, don't, just hold on to it. He told me to hold like this, seven, like the 3 points here in class. And I held on to it like that for like an entire practice.
Just remember, if you drop the ball and fumble it, you're going to run a mile.
Yeah. Yeah. They're gonna pull me right out of the game.
Oh,
we don't
or
we,
do
we
that
don't
too.
yeah, we don't play fumbles like that. Yeah.
So, talk to me about some players that are coming back for this Capital Prep team. Obviously, you're coming back, and
Yeah.
again, there are some teams amongst the state that I don't think get a lot of ink, or in this case, the Des Bryant X right
Yeah.
on Twitter. They don't get a lot of recognition. So, what are some kids that are coming back to this team this year?
Um, this is going to be a really good team. We have a lot of athletes coming back.
Mhm.
A really good receiver, DB. I would say one of my favorite targets as a quarterback, Jaden Kohal. We call him Ben Simmons. He's a really good. He ran track. He was a 30th best track, I believe. He ran the 100. He's like 30th in the nation our freshman year. Yeah, he's really fast. And then we have Tafari Dawes. He's more like an XY receiver. He's the guy that you want one-on-one with. If I'm going to throw it to anybody, I'm throwing it up top to him. We have Dwayne Small. He's a linebacker. He's really smart. He has a 4.3 GPA out of a 4.0. Yeah, he's on track to graduate college by our senior year, I believe so. I'm not sure. I talked to him about that. In our offensive line is young this year, but we do have a few guys coming back. We have Alex, we have Brian, a kid named Xavier. We have a few guys coming back there. And then we got a few new corners, Conroy Cope. And we got a good friend of mine, Priscilla Chumpong. He's like he joined the team late, but he picked it up really fast.
Mhm.
He picked it up and ran with it. And he's really turning into a really good player now.
So with what's at Capital Prep and what seems like to be not just a lot of talented players, but a lot of very smart players, both on and off the field,
Yeah.
why doesn't Capital Prep get the attention that other schools do? Why is that?
I think it's just because of our size. Where we have maybe almost 100 kids throughout the whole high school. I know in my grade we have 34 kids altogether. So I think it's just the size of the school that's really it. Plus, I don't really know if this correlates, but the amount of talent that gets unseen coming
Mhm.
out of Capital Prep, like if I'm a writer, obviously I'm gonna go write about the Greenwiches and the New Canaans, all the big school, the Darians. I'm not gonna look at a school that has 30 kids on their team. I can look at a school who has 100 kids on their team and they have like 15, 20 star players. Like you pick, like, you know what I mean by that?
Oh no, I 100%. I
Yeah,
trust me. I see that. I see that in the NVL, right? You
yeah,
talk about now Waterbury public schools. There's more kids. You think about like Wilby, Kennedy. Kennedy's a double L. I think
yeah,
Wilby is an L school. I have to go back and look, but I do see that high numbers. But even then, if it's not the sexiness of the program, they're not going to come. But I've said for many years, and it doesn't just stay with Waterbury. It goes with kind of Connecticut.
yeah,
Got to have equality here, right? You got to give kids respect. I mean, I understand you want to go to the other schools, that's fine. But
yeah,
you were just giving me names and you wouldn't, I don't think, lie. There's talent at Capital Prep. You want to go there and
yeah,
go watch it. If there's talent somewhere else, you want to go watch it. And for whatever
yeah,
reason, I feel like it's kind of being pushed aside for other things. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I wouldn't just say it's a Capital Prep thing. I would say it's more like an inner city kind of thing.
Mm.
There's a lot of talent within our inner cities that just goes unseen, unspoken of, or heard of. I just feel like that should be like a crime. It's really saddening.
Do you think too that I don't want to say that it's something that you guys think about and it kind of pushes you because I think there's other things that push the young men and women to be the best they can in the classroom and also on their respective sports. But do you guys talk about that? Do you think about kind of what we just discussed 2 seconds ago?
Yeah, we do think about it. Yeah, and it's kind of like we realize it, but we don't let it get in our way. Like we make use of what we got. Like
Mhm.
we have to walk a mile to practice every day just to practice on a decent field. Like it's a grind, but we don't let that. That's not an excuse for us.
How does the coaching staff, and I know there's a lot of great coaches at the Capital Prep side. I know they do a fantastic job. Same thing with achievement, co-op. Gotta make sure I remember that.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah.
to me about how much the coaching staff has meant to you guys.
It's meant a lot to me personally. I've known Coach Millage basically my entire life. I used to think he was a hard ass, but as I met him, I got to know him more. He definitely became like a father figure to me in a way, as well as Coach Shane. I met Coach Shane my freshman year, but ever since then, it's been love. He knows my parents, my entire family, so I kind of knew who he was, but I really didn't know him how I know him now. So that coaching staff is really close to me. We had a few coaches depart. Um, my coach Nas he really taught me a lot, especially technique wise, on how to get leverage on receivers. And we had Coach Danny Augustus who left. We had Coach God, I was trying to remember his name. I forgot his name, but you like I shouldn't really be. He used to play here too. I really forgot it. I shouldn't forget his name, but he was our receivers coach. He also taught me a lot too.
It's one of those things, Hashim, where I think in a lot of ways, hopefully there can be something for Capital Prep. Obviously, I think you guys will have a great season, and it sounds like you guys have the makings of something special there with the players coming back.
Yeah,
Hopefully there can be some recognition. Maybe, again, I hate to say this, but if the wins are there, maybe then you finally will get the attention that you guys deserve. But it's a shame it's
yeah,
got to get to that point in order to have the attention. You know what I mean?
yeah. I just feel like honestly, we're gonna get attention either way, whether it's because we're winning or we're losing. People are always gonna have the same thing about Capital Prep that it's always gonna be a grind to play them. It's always gonna be a gritty game. You may get us by 40 points, but it's gonna be a hard 40 points, a hard fought 40 points. Um, yeah, so but recognition is definitely a big thing for us. We have Division 1 talent every year through and through. It's a means of can they see us through the prep schools and all of that, bigger schools. Local, like if I'm like a Power 5 coach, I'm gonna think, oh, I'm gonna go there. And this is like not trying to discredit what they do, but I'm gonna go to a prep school
Yeah.
before I go to a school with 100 high schoolers and 25 boys. Like I'm gonna go look at the school who can actually recruit kids, bring them in, pick and choose basically. So I think it puts a big shadow over our inner city schools.
I hope you and your team keep doing what you're doing. Best of luck this season. I know your first game is on Saturday at 1 p.m. A shame it's not under the lights on a Friday night. Hopefully you guys will,
Sadly, yeah.
hopefully you have one of those games coming up soon. But Hashim, appreciate you coming on. Best of luck with your junior year. Stay in touch, and I'd love to hear how your season goes throughout.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate you having me on.
Always, anytime. That wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm going to find them all. Enjoy their day, everybody, and be well.